Joining me now, Congressman Adam Schiff, Democrat from California, and a member of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. He was at the closed-door House briefing today on the Boston bombings. And former Governor Ed Rendell and MSNBC analyst, thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
Congressman Schiff, before we get to the politics, let's get our facts straight. Some Republicans say Russia had asked the United States government multiple times about the older brother, the older suspect in this bombing. Now, is that your understanding? Because NBC's reporting indicates something very different.
Al, my understanding is that we got one request that was repeated twice with two different agencies. And again, it's a request that the FBI followed up upon, did an investigation on, wasn't able to turn up derogatory information, and back to Russia and said, you know, what have you got? You got to give us more that we can work with, and never got an answer back. So the impression that some may be giving or have that there were multiple different requests to different agencies, or that Russia was somehow, coming back to us and backing us with more information, more requests, that is just not borne out by the facts that we found thus far.
So basically, to say it was multiple requests by Russia is just not true. One request, two different agencies is the truth. It is not true that it was multiple requests from Russia.
It looks to be the same request repeated twice. I don't know that we've yet examined them side by side, but principally the same information repeated twice to two different agencies. And I'm not aware of any indication that we had other different information from the Russians that was repeated to other agencies or at different times. It looks as simple as that.
Now, you were in the briefing today that the Permanent Intelligence Committee received. Could you give us any indication of where this is going? Is there anything new? What can you share with us?
Well, first of all, I think that the intelligence community is doing an extraordinary job in following up on all the leads and working together very seamlessly on this. And listening to some of the sound bites you aired at the top of the program, it's very disturbing. I wish the members of Congress were acting together as well and in as nonpartisan a fashion as our intelligence professionals are. We should follow their good example. But they're chasing down every lead. They're chasing down not only the leads at home to make sure there aren't any further dangers to the public or co-conspirators, but also chasing the leads overseas in Chechnya and Dagestan, trying to make sure that we're understanding of how these brothers were radicalized, how much of that was done at home, how much online, how much perhaps during that trip to Chechnya and Dagestan. So they're doing their job. And the public ought to be pleased and impressed with the diligence and professionalism that they're showing.
Governor Rendell, I remember living in New York 9/11, and I remember like it was yesterday, the spirit of cooperation. People kind of grew and united, and a lot of the acrimony that we had in the city just seemed to evaporate. We began to understand that there were those that wanted to hurt Americans, no matter what our race and religion, and we were going to be bigger than that. I'm not sensing the same coming from all quarters that as a result of this Boston bombing. And I just, it bothers me because things should make us grow, not recede.
Well, you're absolutely right, Reverend. And there's an incredible level of hypocrisy here. Republicans say that the Obama administration is weak on terrorism, and yet, wasn't it just a few weeks ago that they were complaining about all the drone attacks? Not only did the president engineer the raid that killed bin Laden, but we've killed more Islamic terrorist leaders with drones and without drones than than all the other administrations put together. That's what the Obama administration has done. That's a fact, whether they like it or not. But the second thing that really bothers me about what they've been saying today, and I don't think you had any quotes here, but the anti-Muslim rhetoric is one of the reasons why the Republican Party will, in my judgment, remain a minority party for a long time. American Muslims, 99% of them do not support Islamic jihadism. They are as appalled by it as anybody. You even heard the two brothers' uncle decry what happened,
right,
and say it was giving them a bad name. But there are Muslim countries all over the world who are our allies. How do you think the Muslims in Kosovo and do you think they hate the U.S.? We saved them from genocide.
Well, it was an imam that turned in the guys that were captured this week, just this week in Canada. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, what are we talking about here?
Absolutely. This idea that we can condemn an entire religion, both here and abroad, is nuts. I mean, look, Jared Loughner was a terrorist. Timothy McVeigh was a terrorist. Adam Lanza was a terrorist. They were Christians. Does anybody think that we should condemn Christian jihadists? Of course not.
But they are, Governor. Let me show you, Congressman. Bill O'Reilly is using the attacks to condemn Muslims in general. Watch this.
It's all about motivation, and it is about a specific group of people. Only radical Islam allows terror murder. Most Muslims on this earth are good people, but they are not helping to neutralize the jihad. They are not standing up against it in any numbers, and that includes American Muslims.
First of all, what do you mean they're not standing up? They were the ones that turned in the guys that were just arrested this week in Canada. They were the ones that shouted down the older suspect and told him that if he kept talking like that, he would not be allowed back in the mosque. I mean, this is just outright not only a prejudicial and biased statement, it's an outright lie. There have been any number of Islamic leaders and lay people that have helped and turned in terrorists. And, Congressman, I think that we need to be outraged about seeing the people just blanketed by people that are irresponsible and just want to take cheap shots for reasons that are beyond me at this kind of time and period in our history.
Well, Reverend, I agree with you completely. And not only is it a horribly bigoted thing to do, but it's so incredibly counterproductive. The American Muslim community is a source of great strength to us in being able to protect the country. We need to work cooperatively with the community, and those who would defame an entire community make that kind of cooperation much more difficult. So our strength in America has always been our diversity, and these voices of hate that would exploit this terrible tragedy and terrorist attack are just going to make our job in the intelligence community much more difficult, and frankly make our job around the world much more difficult. So you're absolutely right. We need to push back soundly and hard against these voices that would just preach hate at a time like this.
71% approved the president's handling of the Boston Marathon bombings, Governor. So it seems the public is clearer than some of those that are trying to spread this kind of distraction.
And it is pathetic, Reverend, that politics rears its head at a time like this. It is absolutely pathetic to try to make political capital out of this and try to beat up on an entire religion. It is just brutally divisive and horribly prejudicial. It boggles the mind. I mean, there are so many Muslims around the world who still care about us. Look, the government of Iran and the leaders of Iran are our enemy. And yet there are Iranian Americans who are fighting as hard as they can to try to bring democracy back to Iran. And they're Muslims, and they're fighting the regime. So to condemn a religion is pathetic. Those guys should be ashamed of themselves, the commentators and the elected officials.
Congressman Adam Schiff from the Intelligence Committee and former Governor Ed Rendell, thank you both for your time, and let's again unite and let the country grow and expand in the